Hey guys, it's Sureksha and Anna here. For those who don't know about Insurgent until now, we'll give some information about it. We would like to start off with the book first and then we'll give some information about the movie.
So basically, Insurgent is a science fiction young adult novel written by American novelist Veronica Roth, who is New York Times #1 bestseller author. This book is the second book in the Divergent trilogy and was first published on May 1st, 2012. So the first book of trilogy is Divergent, of course, the second one Insurgent, and the third one All Giant. These books continue the story of Tris Pryor, the main character, and it's written from her perspective. However, there is also a fourth book called Four. This Divergent collection is a collection of 5 short stories from the Divergent trilogy told from Tobias' perspective. And by the way, I forgot to mention earlier that the book has 525 pages.
So we can actually say that Insurgent begins a couple of hours after Divergent ends. After killing her friend Will and stopping the simulation, Tris, Tobias, his father, and Caleb continued their adventure. They started a whole new series of events that is going to change their city forever. Before changing the city, they will have to hide because the erudite were looking for them. Because of the good band that Marcus had with the MIT leader Johanna, they were allowed to stay in the MIT compound for a while.
The next morning, after Tris' wounds were tended, she decided to cut her hair. With this new haircut, she felt daring enough to track down Marcus Eden to figure out what he was up to. While tracking down her boyfriend's dad, Peter, one of her accomplices, sneaks into her room and tries to steal the hard drive with the simulation, which was hidden in Tris' room. But she catches him anyway and beats him aggressively. As punishment for her aggressive behavior, the Amitis injected her with a peace serum. A few hours later, the serum wears off, and as soon after it wears off, the erudite and the dauntless arrived at the compound and were looking for her and her friends.
She and her friends escaped but was betrayed by Peter. After escaping, they find themselves between the factionless. There, she finds out that For's mother, Evelyn, was still alive and was planning to take over the city. Despite all the confusion, she and For decided to go to Candor headquarters to visit her dauntless friends and to figure out what was going on. To gain their trust, they were injected with a truth serum and were forced to spill out the truth, like the fact that she killed Will. The truth shocked everybody, especially her friend Christina, who loved Will dearly.
So after the interrogation, she reunites with her dauntless friends Marlene, Oya, and Lynn, who are now living in the Kendra compound. But this reunion was short-lived because they were attacked by a bunch of dauntless traitors, including Eric, the dauntless leader. After helping a little girl who was also divergent, she was caught by Eric but stabbed him to defend herself.
After their return, Tori and Zeke arrived and told everyone that they weren't traitors, but just spies. They called out a meeting and elected 3 new dauntless leaders: Tobias, Tori, and Harrison, a member of the Dauntless. After this, Eric was killed and reclaimed their old headquarters. Tobias got a meeting with his mom, Evelyn, and brought Tris along to analyze the situation. She didn't like the news and tried to explain it to Tobias but was ignored, which caused a huge fight between them. When they came back to their compound, Janine activated a simulation which caused Marilyn's life. After this incident, Tris decided to turn herself over to Janine.
Janine was very happy to see her because she was the divergent she was looking for. So she runs a few tests on her, finding out her brain wasn't the same as the people who weren't divergent, and decided to kill her. With Peter's help, Tobias saved Tris' life and escaped to Tobias' old abnegation sector. After this, Evelyn reveals her plan to the rest of the group and started a so-called revolution, but Tris didn't want to participate because she wasn't feeling right.
They all went back and celebrated, and Emily revealed her plan to eliminate all the factions, but before it sinks in, Tobias,
Johanna,
and Marcus showed up with the video recovered after hacking into Janine's computer system. In the video,
a woman named Edith Pryor explained to them why the divergence was so important and how they were going to
save the world.
The movie was based on Insurgent the book and was directed by Robert Schwentz. It is a sequel of the 2014 film Divergent, which is directed by Neil Burger, and its running time is 119 minutes. It was released on March 19th, 2015 in the United Kingdom and on March 20th, 2015 in the United States of America. There are many important casts on Insurgent, and there are also the important characters, like Shailene Woodley as Beatrice Pryor,
Theo James as Tobias for Ethan,
Octavia Spencer as Joanna,
Jay Corney as Eric,
Ray Stevenson as Marcus Eden,
Drew Kravitz as Christina,
Miles Teller as Peter,
Ansel Elgort as Callie Pryor,
Suki Warthouse as Marlene,
Janet McTeer as Edith Pryor,
and Kanan Lonsdale as Arya.
Most of the filming took place in Atlanta. They shot in places like Peachtree Street, where a set for a zipline scene was constructed on the roof of Peachtree Center, Fulton Country, and so on. They also went to Chicago to shoot some parts of the movie, but then they came back to Atlanta for further shooting.
So, there were a lot of differences between the book and the movie, and we are going to tell you guys in which way they differ from each other.
There was this hard drive, which was with Tris in the book, but the hard drive was never mentioned in the film.
And Arya, Marlene, and Lynn played a bigger role in the book, but in the film they weren't much important. Tris was unable to hold a gun and shot anyone due to the memory of how she killed Will, one of her best friends, but in the film she didn't hesitate to use a gun.
Tobias disliked when Tris called him Thor, so she used to call him by his actual name, whereas in the film, his actual name Tobias was mentioned only 1 or 2 times.
Marcus, Tobias' dad, is barely in the movie. He was appeared earlier in the movie when he told Tris that his wife left him and his son for another mission, but later in the movie he disappeared.
Johanna, the MIT leader, appeared in a small role in the film. We also didn't get to see her have a secret meeting with Marcus that Tris sneakily listened in on, as in the book.
And instead of saving Peter from a dauntless bullet while in Amity, she saved him within one of the simulations.
And now we are going to talk about the similarities that the movie and the book have.
So there is this special box which holds knowledge that both Tris and Janine wants to get.
The plot is also the same, as the film is an adaptation of the book.
The characters were pretty the same.
Janine is looking to find a divergence which is similar to her goal in the book.
And Peter feels indebted to Tris and helps her and to escape before the box is fully unlocked.